So, here we are again. Do I look like Batman with a mask on right now? This light's kind of crazy here. So, yeah, here we are again. The whole group. Man, it's pretty amazing to see everybody in this lineup. To see it from here is pretty impressive because, you know, when we sat at in the seats and the tables each week, you know, we just had our little spaces. We just had our little places to watch our different guest speakers, Pastor Friedman, Dave, you name it. We had so many great speakers each week. But to be up here right now and see each one of you, see the whole 25 souls out there committing themselves to take the kingdom where people normally wouldn't go, to take God in that special place, not between four walls. It might be outside. It might be could even be in a bathroom. Surprisingly enough. But I'll go through the different weeks that we had. Week 1, we had our orientation and understanding post-traumatic distress disorder, and that was a pretty in-depth class. Post-traumatic stress disorder is crippling to many people, especially our military. In my organization with the Mad Viking Beard Club that I'm the chaplain for, we have a large group of 1,000, actually more than 1,000 now, military veterans. In order to be a part of that, you have to have been deployed. And a lot of these soldiers are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So this class was very important for me because it's a heavy part of my chaplaincy. As Pastor Friedman stated, with my group that I have, I'm now training other chaplains. So over the past few weeks, I've had quite a few suicide calls where people were struggling with depression, people were struggling with a wife leaving them or whatever may be happening. But in all of the cases that I had, it all related to post-traumatic stress disorder. And I do have the chaplains in place that are military trained as well. So they were able to bring their experience and their background to the situation and help normalize. So week 2 and 3, we had jail chaplaincy, which is a very unique chaplaincy because you have two different sides of it. You've got both the inmates as well as the corrections officers, and both are suffering from their own stresses and problems that they may be facing within the confines of the same house. So, and to see that duality is extremely eye-opening as we discuss that. Week 4 was introduction to counseling, and seeing the importance of knowing what a counselor has to know in order to help a patient, and having that understanding for us as to who we're referring to and why and what's important and which person we're placing with whom, because it could be a completely different category depending on the case. Week 5, we went through QPR's suicide prevention in their triage, which basically our job as chaplains is, if you were to relate it to the military, it's kind of like we're the field medic. We're the guy that's out there in the field, when somebody's wounded, and we have to put the Band-Aid, we have to put the patch on, and we got to get them off the field so that we can get them to the hospital. Finding out which hospital to take them to is the other part of our job that we have to know. So that analogy is I would say pretty good. Week 6 was dangerous drugs and identification, which was very interesting because we had a whole room full of drugs.
kilo of cocaine in here.
I was very surprised to see what it felt like holding a whole kilo of cocaine in my hands and saying, I don't know if this feels like we should be doing this right now. But it was very eye-opening to see the different drugs, and even more so to see the effects of each of those drugs as to how they affect each of the people taking them. The prices, the dangers, the addiction that the people that are taking these are on, and the fact that medical prescription drugs are the highest culprit currently. To see that, you know, when you think of drugs, the first thing you think of is marijuana, cocaine, heroin, but really it's the prescription drugs that we have that are just killing us and killing people out there. So, and that was where we were well eye-opened on that class. Week 7 was the continuation of our QPR suicide prevention. Week 8 was sexual assault and forensic nursing. It was a very difficult class for many people, because the ladies that we had come in here that do the forensic nursing were fairly descriptive as to what it takes when there's a rape victim or somebody that's going through incest, and learning that there's no age barrier here. I mean, it's everywhere from the little infant all the way to grandpa and grandma. And the fact that these ladies are seeing this day in and day out, and they're personally dealing with the stresses of their own jobs in seeing this, and the need for a chaplain for them, aside from the fact that, you know, they're helping out with our patients, our clients. Week 9 was a very special class.
Got an A.
Ray Honan came in and gave us a fantastic class on leadership and relationship training, which is absolutely key to what we do as chaplains. Every single one of us, yet every single one of you, is a leader in some way or form. You may lead a household, you may lead a family, you may lead a small group, you may lead a soccer team, or you may lead kids to be drummers for the rest of their lives. But everyone's a leader, and knowing that inside and the importance of that, and the responsibility that we each have as leaders, and taking these education courses is key for our success and our future. As you know, I am the chaplain of the Mad Viking Beard and Mustache Club. I started as the chaplain when we only had 5,000 of us. They appointed me. We had members. It wasn't necessarily a legitimate club at the time. It was more so a membership, a group of guys all around the world. We're global. And in 2015, they asked me to be the chaplain, and I looked at them and I said, "Hey, do you even know what a chaplain is?" And they said, "Well, no, not really. I have no clue, but you do a lot of stuff at church, and you're up there singing, and you're in the band, and you have these small groups you go to, and you're involved, so you just roll with it, and you run with the ball, and it can be anything you want it to be." And I looked at him and I said, "You know, don't expect me to be the guy that just says the prayer at dinner. I'm going to take this serious. I'm going to take this to heart, so you guys better be ready, because this is going to be a pretty fun ride." And it has been. It has been immensely. We grew from the 5,000 at the time that we became a legitimate club to now we're at 10,256. And 6 months ago, they decided, instead of having just one small leadership board for all 10,000 globally, we were going to take and break up into chapters, so that each chapter is going to have their own leadership. So they're going to have a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. And I looked at them and I said, "And?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Well, and what?" I said, "What about the chaplain?" They said, "Well, you're the chaplain." I said, "Are you out of your mind?" Like, how am I supposed to be effective as a chaplain to 10,000 people? Well, I 8,000 at the time. And they said, "So you think we should have a chaplain in each chapter?" I said, "Absolutely." They said, "So should we vote on it?" I said, No, there's no voting. I said, No. You guys just sit back. I'll take the reins on this, and I'll appoint chaplains. So I've had to actually go through and vet each of these chaplains and interview them. And people will ask me, hey, I like listening. Okay, what other qualifications do you have? Where's your heart? You know, why do you want to be a chaplain? Do you want to be a chaplain because you get a badge and you can say, I'm a chaplain? Or do you want to be a chaplain because you're willing to stay up until 4 in the morning with a guy that's screaming inside because he's dealing with PTSD and you don't want him to pull the trigger that night? You want to make the tough call to call the police to say, hey, look, this guy is sitting in his bedroom and you're on the phone right now with him, keeping him there until they get there. Are you willing to do that? Because if you're not, and you can't pray, because you got to be able to pray too. If you're not willing to do all of that, you're not willing to be a chaplain. So, there's a great author that I know out there. His name's Vince Antonucci. He's a guy that wrote a book called Renegade. Your faith is not meant to be safe. He's the pastor of a church out in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was at a nice, cushy church out in Virginia, by the ocean, all happy, loving it. He had been there for 15 years and listened to that small voice that God whispers in your ear saying, I've got something for you, you gotta go somewhere. So what he heard was, I want you to go out and I want you to start a church on the Strip in Las Vegas and take care of a congregation out there. He said, really, is this what I need to do? So he talked to all of his pastor friends, even talked to pastors out in the Nevada area. Everybody told him, if you do this, this is career suicide. If it works, you will be killed by pimps and people that are on the Vegas Strip, and if it doesn't work, you will have no career for the rest of your life, because nobody will care. And he said, I have to do this. I have to do this. This is my calling that God has told me. I have to do this. So he started it. He's very successful. His first church meeting that he had there, a Satanist came in to disrupt it, but forgot why he was there during the service, because he was so moved by the service and ended up getting baptized in the backyard of the church 6 months later. I met him at a leadership conference about 6 months ago? About 6 months ago. And I was moved by his story, but I told him about the Beard Club and kind of what I'd been doing. And he looked at me and he goes, wow. And he grabs his book and he hands it to me, and I said, oh, how much? He goes, no, dude, this is you. You're doing exactly this. You're going out of the safety to take care of the many. And it's walking out of the church in order to help everybody else. Selflessly. One of my most recent chaplains that I have is Chaplain Lanny Estrada out of Illinois. And when I was interviewing her, one of the things she said to me was, I asked her why she felt called to do this, why she felt called to be a chaplain. And she said, my heart's in it, I really want to do it, but I've realized that God doesn't call the qualified, God qualifies the called.
All right.
And when we think about that, each one of us, we look down the road, each one of us, we heard that little voice in our head. We said, I got to do this. I don't know why. Some of us just took the class and said, I don't know why. But realized that, hey, I'm going to be a VA chaplain. And it so moved everybody, because we saw God in these moments. We saw God work through every single one of these individuals. You know, when you look back at the people that made a huge difference in the Bible, you can say Jacob was a cheater. Peter had a temper. David had an affair. Noah got drunk. Jonah ran from God. Paul was a murderer. Gideon was insecure. Miriam was a gossiper. Martha was a worrier. Thomas was a doubter. Sarah was impatient. Elijah was moody. Moses stuttered. Zacchaeus was too short. Abraham was too old, and Lazarus was dead. But the one thing every single one of them had was they weren't qualified, but they were called. And that's what we have right here. We have the call. We're here to become qualified through this training.
Yes.
Even the 12 were unqualified. They were fishermen, they were, you name it. But they were called, and they went. So, Class 2 of 2017, I am very honored to be among you. And I wish you all well in your chaplaincies and your ministries. And I pray that every life that you encounter is touched by God. And it's an honor to be able to be that vessel and used in that way. So, with that, I want to give the class a round of applause. Once again, I want to thank Pastor James Friedman for